It's a rivalry renewed tonight. The late game for Hockey Night in Canada. Saturday night doesn't get much better than this. The first meeting between the Vancouver Canucks and Edmonton Oilers since the Oil beat them in 7 games in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Buckle up, baby. That's my seatbelt going on because this is the one I've been waiting for all to start the season. Also got next Saturday circled against the Leafs. 2 Saturdays in a row, you're going to be lit hockey games for the Edmonton Oilers. And I said tonight, just got a little bit of that Saturday night, fight night, heavyweight feel to it where I'm excited to see what happens. I am hyped. Hello and welcome to Pre-Gaming with BORDZY, brought to you by Sherwood Ford, the Giant for a reason. Tired of dealership hassles? Sherwood Ford in Sherwood Park is all about convenience and upfront pricing. With their Giant Deal program, get clear, no nonsense pricing on new and used Fords online with all incentives included. Plus, enjoy the ease of free mobile service, free pickup and delivery, and same day or next day service appointments. Also, winter tire season, everybody. They'll change them over for you, and they are such good people at Sherwood Ford. They will store your summer tires for you throughout the winter. One of the many reasons why they are the Giant for a reason. All right, tonight, just made for pre-gaming, but I've got my pal behind the scenes, producer Brett Holden, the Brett and BORDZY show going on. No purple bandana today, eh?
No, I
didn't want to dress up for me, eh?
No, I'm having a good hair day. I had a ball hockey game last night, so I had a fresh shower last night, and then after I put it in the silk bonnet. You can't. This camera doesn't do it any justice. It looks pretty decent today.
I have seen the silk bonnet that you wear before. You have sent me Snapchats in the middle of the night, and I'm like, what are you wearing right now, brother? Are you an 80-year-old grandmother?
Yes.
No, that's just my boy Brett Holden. Bert, how we doing? How was your weekend? How was your Friday night yesterday? Did you win that game, you said?
No, actually, it was
That's why you didn't say.
But it was tied. It was 7-7 tie. We came back from 5-1 deficit to tie it late. It was a good little game. I had a rough game. It was my first game in 2.5 weeks. So rough game for the kid, but almost
cardio back.
Well, exactly. Blocked a couple shots. My instep of my left foot hurts a little bit, but it's business as usual.
One thing about my boy Brett Holden is last year, I thought you were possibly getting abused at home or something because your legs are just covered. Yeah. I am talking covered in bruises, black, blue, green, whatever color. The man's the Vinny Desharnais of his ball hockey team. See what I did there?
Hey.
See what I did? Little segue. My Friday night was fantastic. It was supposed to be a chill evening last night. Brett, I already told you this. But I was in Sherwood Park, and there was a little 50-50 draw. Ooh. The Sherwood Park Kings, shout out, down at the Sherwood Park Arena and whatnot. But my buddy I was with won the 50-50 raffle for $850. And let's just say, all of that was spent last night, and I didn't spend $1, but it was a good Friday night. And your boy's ready for another Saturday. A little, I don't know, I'm hyped up. And we got our nation beers here as well. So, Brett, wouldn't be pre-gaming if I didn't. Let's get a little ASMR here.
Ooh,
that was clean. Tastes even better. Shout out our friends at Odd Company for our nation beers. They are as delicious, as beautiful as they look in those cans. Tonight, we're going to have a little bit of a different show. We're going to be joined later on at about 7:20-ish. Earlier today, I caught up with David Quadrelli from Canucks Army, co-host, one half of Canucks Conversation. We're going to play that one later on. Great convo talking about everything from the rivalry, the Canucks' hot start to the season, Kevin Lankinen putting on his best Thatcher Demko impression to start the season, and much more. We'll roll that around 7:20, then we'll come back. We'll get into some bets this evening, look at some other lineup things, and get rolling tonight for a big matchup. As I said, Saturday night, rivalry game, hockey night in Canada. It literally does not get any better than this, but I am a little nervous heading into this one. I cannot lie. Brett, let's pull up our predictions as well that we had for a friend from all of us here at Oilers Nation. I went through the comments today, and it's pretty funny as we all biased, of course, predicting Oiler dubs. Was think 6-5, Pat 3-2. I also pointed out we couldn't find a real photo of Patrick Buff. We had to put in our cartoon version of him. still handsome no matter the version. Tyler 4-3. I also think 4-3. I think the over tonight's going to happen. I wouldn't even be surprised if we saw overtime hockey tonight. Liam, he says 3-2. Also in my group chat, Oilers Nation every day right now, Ty and Liam are the biggest curling, not going to call them nerds, but they're curling guys. They love it. Liam just texted right before the show, all capitals, a big goosh for Brad Gushu, as I believe who that is. Check Twitter a couple seconds later. Tyler's already posted the highlight. They love their curling, so Saturday night for them is going to be spent down on the sheet. The sheet? Is that what you do? That's what you call that, right?
Great lingo.
Look at me go. But just straight up, the Oilers, we need a win. Straight up. We've lost 2 straight here against New Jersey Monday night, then the Vegas Golden Knights on Wednesday. The Devils game was not the Oilers' best effort through and through, but that was a lot of second half of a back-to-back energy in that one. You still didn't have your leader. You were in Calgary the night previous, but against Vegas, they were in that game for 59 minutes of the hockey game. Just some crucial, back-breaking, mind-numbing brain farts from Evan Bouchard. And shout out Jason Demers, because we had him on Oilers Nation every day on Friday, and we went through the Bouchard goals, which is why you sometimes need to look through things from the eye of a former NHL defenseman, a guy who played 700 games in the NHL, but he went on a good breakdown of how the first goal at least was not on, well, it is on Evan Bouchard, but Jeff Skinner as the F3, he allowed Jack Eichel to get in and on the breakaway. So I did come out of that after Friday feeling a little bit better about the state of the Oilers defense, specifically one Evan Bouchard, but there was ever a time to throw your hard hats on and dig deep. I'm not saying dig in, I'm saying dig deep. No, we're done with that. It's against this Canucks team tonight, Saturday night, a team that they're going to be fired up and ready to play these Edmonton Oilers. There you see the head-to-head team comparison. Much like every other head-to-head team comparison we've had this season, the Canucks lead in all 4 major categories, goals for, goals against. Power play, though. Look at that. Could the Oil PK finally go a game without scoring? Tune into After Dark later tonight to see how upset I am about special teams. You look at their PK, though. Very, very strong numbers, 82.4%. And Oil power play is going to have to get going. But as I said, the Canucks, you're on home ice, first game against the Oilers. They're going to be ready to play tonight. They're going to come out guns blazing, and they have not forgotten what happened last year in the postseason. I'm sure the Oilers haven't either. They've had this one circled just like I have, and you are motivated for this one. There is no excuse to start slow in this game. I do think the Oilers probably going to have to withstand a solid 5-10 minute wave in that first period. Home crowd's going to be going. Sure, they'll be on Stuart Skinner's ass throughout this entire game as he got chased last season in the postseason. Now, did win Game 7 on their home ice, so suck it, Vancouver fans. But I don't know. They're going to need to bring their A game tonight. In the Oil right, 5v5. We have been an above average team. Zach Lang even pointed out we're above average goaltending at 5v5. League average 9-11. Edmonton Oilers 9-13. But it is going to be the special teams tonight, which in these games, you've seen it against Vegas, right? You see it against the Dallas Stars sometimes. These elite squads. Special teams is the difference maker because the margins are so slim. We're a good team. They're a good team. I don't know. They're going to need to bring their energy, and they're going to need to, Brett, come up with a whole lot more than they have in the last 2 games, right? It's those backbreaking errors against a team like Vegas. And if you come in here with that effort you did against New Jersey, we can start the post-game show by the 3rd period. Tonight, I need a highly motivated Oilers team because, as I said, we need to win straight up here. Division standings, sure, blah, blah, blah. I need to see one go through the hoop and get a dub here.
Yeah, 100%. We've seen 2 sleepy games from the Edmonton Oilers in the last 2 games. The first one was relatively acceptable. You hate to see and you don't want to say they're scheduled losses, but sometimes you just lose hockey games. You're not going to go 82-0, whatever it is, right? Sometimes you can let those go. But when it gets into 2 games in a row, creeps into 3 games in a row, into 5, 6, whatever it may be, then you start going, oh, shoot, maybe that wasn't just a sleepy game. So, again, this is a team that you hate. You do not like. You're going into and...
No, I'll use the word hate. I'll use the word hate.
Yeah, and it should have been the same in the last 2 games as well. you didn't see it. So now's the game to come out there, show that energy, show a little oomph, show a fire under your ass, whatever it may be, whatever cliche you want to use. Go out there, show some energy, hit some guys, make some errors, or make them make some errors, and it's a totally different story, even from the last couple of games. If they had done that early, it's totally different. So yes, energy is the biggest thing for me heading into this one. If they don't have another sleepy game, I think we're in for a pretty decent battle.
You got to be fired up for this. Well, there's no excuse tonight to not come out guns blazing, ready to roll. There's revenge games on both sides of the ice. I also forgot to go through the chat today at the start of the show. You know me. I love you all. I read the first comment of the day. You can scroll up to see that one. I'm not going to read that one today. I laughed at Ace 96 just randomly. I want Tommy Chong to be the commentator. Sadistic Angel is having a Moscow Mule right now. A man or woman of high class. I don't actually know if you are male or female. Bordzyn, is tonight the night the offense finally wakes up? I don't know, brother. I've been saying that every single game for the last, 3 weeks to start this season. But Troy, this is the point right here. No Besser, no Joshua, no Demko. Oilers have no excuses. They have all of their roster. I mean, sure, you could say Evander Kane, whatever. No, you got to be out and ready to roll tonight. And I'm nervous, man. I have nervous energy. But what I'm most nervous about is the special teams and specifically the PK, because it is shockingly, unfathomably horrible, terrible, brutal. Whatever word you want to use, throw it in the chat. I will read it out. But it's an NHL low or league low right now. 59%. I've said before, the NHL record for PK percentage is 68%. That was in 79-80 from the LA Kings when goalies weren't even wearing pads. I believe since 2000, it's like 73%, something like that. So this is unfathomable what this can happen. We've all talked about it, the fall off from the NHL playoffs, how crazy it is. But my point here is 14 games so far this season. 14 games is no small sample size. You know what your team is, what your units are. And right now, no way to sugarcoat it. The PK is bad. And yes, we can keep talking about all the guys we lost. Fogle, McLeod, Vinny. He'll be on the other PK. Cody Ceci. I'm tired of hearing it. 14 games. That was last season. This is this year. Nothing that happened last year matters. They are not coming back through that door to save this team. So there's really no point even discussing it. They need the guys in the room to figure it out. Now, the last game against Vegas, I thought the PK was slightly improved. Now, is that saying a whole heck of a lot with the way it's gone so far this season? No, but they were still lacking a little bit of structure, but for sure on the first opportunity they had, the Oilers were more structured, I will say, not completely, but they were getting in shooting lanes. They were blocking shots repeatedly. You saw bodies in the blue paint, and there were actually Oilers in there putting the fear of life into them and putting some cross checks in, trying to clear bodies in front of the net. I thought they were improved, but then you come to that second opportunity. Nuge takes the holding penalty in the offensive zone. And hey, he's one of your best penalty killers on the team, one of your most consistent PKers on the team for sure. And you allow a simple cross-ice pass from Jack Eichel over to make the defense completely shift back to Noah Hannafin. And that was a shot that should have been stopped through and through. Complete line of sight, but they just didn't get the save there. And that's been the story. Like, Brett, if it's not one thing right now with the Edmonton Oilers PK, it is another. They only took 2 penalties in that game, but you still come out of it 50%. It's bad right now, brother.
Yeah, it is bad. And the biggest thing to me, as you mentioned, there's this, that, and the other thing that you can mention.
Makes you need an Odd Company brewing beer.
Yeah, it's one thing or the other for the Oilers PK, but right now for me that's just so noticeable is the lack of organization in their end. Like you mentioned it seems like I don't want to say their transition, especially their transition into the zone. As soon as the puck is brought into their zone, they really struggle getting into their penalty kill structure and their formation. And I think you see it. You mentioned the Jesper Bratt goal a couple of times in the last couple of games where he's just left wide open in the slot.
Wide open, 6 feet away from your goal.
Paul Cotter, again, like you talk about that conversation in that same game too, where he's getting to the front of the net, whether you want to, I don't blame Nurse on that goal, whatever it may may be, but it's still, he's getting to the front of the net, and you're seeing a lot of open opportunities, a lot of sticks and lanes, a lot of traffic in front of Pickard or Stuart Skinner. It just seems like the formation is just out the window, especially from last year. And whether that's new guys trying to learn the system or whether it's just sloppiness, it's noticeable. It's super noticeable, and it has been fallen now. And you guys talked about it on Oilers Nation every day, talking about how the goaltending at 5-on-5 is actually above NHL league average. They're still getting goaltending and saves at 5-on-5, but once you start letting your goalie down, that save percentage is also going to go down, whether that is going down 5-on-4, 5-on-3, 4-on-3, giving up breakaways, giving up, and you mentioned the stat as well, the tips in front are scoring more goals than an actual breakaway on the Edmonton Oilers right now. So it seems like it's the formation and the system that's just really let them down so far in their defensive end, 5-on-4, 5-on-5, whatever it may be. But I think it's the system that's really letting them down.
There's a lot of things letting them down right now, but then sometimes it's even goaltending on that PK. Like we mentioned, Fighting Amish, I laughed. Said I'm drinking PBR Pounders, smoking purple panty dropper as well. Then Ping Pong Master came in as well, as he called him a piss tank. I like the term piss tank in here as well. Way to go, Ping Pong Master. Power play, I don't know. It's a broken record at this point. It's bad. It will be good. Just trust me. Okay. Case closed. We can move along from there. I mentioned it's a double revenge game this evening, as Vasily Podkolzin will play his first game back at Rogers Arena as an Edmonton Oiler against the Vancouver Canucks. And our boy Vinny, or should I say your boy Vinny, Brett, you were his dog all season last year. You predicted him to score pretty much every single game we did last year. Shockingly, I don't think he did score in any of those games.
No, he didn't. In fact, the only goal he scored was the one I was in Los Angeles for.
Oh, there you go. Hopefully it doesn't happen tonight. But let's start with Vasily Podkolzin, because he has been a great surprise this season. I've said it ad nauseum. Did not expect him to be in the top 6 this early and stick in the top 6. And me, frankly, agree with that decision. He's been a great surprise. He's still goalless. Sure. It's a matter of time before it happens, but he's doing everything right. He leads the team in hits with 36th. The next closest on the team is Darnell Nurse with 24 hits. The Edmonton Oilers simply are not taking the body enough this season. Every box score you look at, you're like, what's going on? Were they even awake in there? But hey, hits sometimes can be calculated differently. He continues to play in that top 6 role with Leon Draisaitl, and while I don't think he was as good against Vegas in that last game, I think he was a little bit quieter. He has earned the benefit of the doubt so far this season to continue to be in that role. And Brett, revenge games do bring out the best in players. I feel like everybody at this company has bet on a Podkolzin goal throughout the whole year. I have not touched it once this entire season. And I don't know, kind of feels like the stars are aligning this evening. Do we see a Podzilla goal in our future? Because he's a juicy plus 650 on Bet365 right now. Brett, thoughts on Pod's return revenge game? And can I profit off that revenge?
I can see the fire lit under his ass a little bit in this game. Again, you say not the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he's been given the benefit of the doubt. I think he's earned his spot on that second line with Leon and Victor Arvidsson. Because again, I sound like a broken record, but he just does a lot of the little things right that you need on a line with Leon Draisaitl. Wins those battles, gets him the puck, is able to carry the puck into the zone and kind of feed and start a play by himself. I really like the way Podkolzin has been able to implement himself on the second line and be able to be a relatively consistent guy in a top 6 that has been relatively inconsistent. And has he potted a bunch of points? No, but I think consistency comes beyond the score sheet, and he's been able to show that. Will he score tonight? I love plus chasing. I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't put him in Boardzy's bankroll.
I'm in more of a realistic mood today. I don't want to go, which I will probably say a Vinny Desharnais goal, and just because.
Well, hey, there you go. You're going to have that as well. Bob Stoffer's in. He said our man Bouch is going off tonight. Fuck the Bouch haters is what he meant to say there. Even though there may be a reason to hate him at the moment, Ace said Bouchard is making CC look like Bobby Orr. Also, Mr. Burns pointed it out. You're already being a little too negative, but Steven, this made me laugh my ass off. Bouch just finished his pregame tray of edibles. Expect nothing. No, Bouch, I agree with who said that. I just showed it before. That I said it at the last game. I feel like this is one where Bouch is going to score. He's going to go off tonight, and we're going to be like, yeah, live by the sword, die by the sword. Frankly, we have been dying by the sword way too much this season. Vincent Desharnais does make his return tonight. Me and Quads will talk about this in just a couple seconds. It's been an up and down start, to say the least, for Vincent Desharnais, but it does kind of feel like he is finding his footing right now with the team. As we saw, we know better than anyone, Vinny needs the correct partner. He needed Brett Kulak last season. He can hide a lot of his mistakes and inabilities, I'd say. As we know with Vinny, not great at handling the puck, I would say, and getting it out of your own zone. That's something Brett Kulak exceeds at, does very well. So we'll talk about it with Quads here, and you'll get it in just a second. But, Brett, you're the Vinny guy here. It's going to be nice to see him again. It breaks my heart. I'm holding out hope that on pregame warmups, which should be happening right away here, we'll get a Vinny skinny hug to start it, just like Linus Ullmark and Jeremy Swayman did earlier this afternoon. It was a nice moment, but I feel like this is something Oilers fans could have expected with one Vincent Desharnais. We know him, and we know him well. We know the faults in his game. I don't think there were many people in Edmonton when we saw the ticket that Vinny signed that were saying, okay, we should have been the team to do that. I love him through and through. And my God, would I like him on the penalty kill right now if he could be back for the Edmonton Oilers. His body alone is like another goaltender out there. Thoughts on Vinny doing his revenge game tonight? I don't think he's going to get on the score sheet this evening. Knock on wood. But, Brett, we love the man. I'd like to see him find his footing with the team, but it's going to be weird tonight. I had to make a thumbnail the other day, and I went and looked up photos of Vinny in a Canucks jersey. Not for me. Your thoughts?
No, it's unnatural, first of all. No. It's quite unnatural. I don't like seeing it. It's kind of like seeing that trade in NHL when you make the big-time trade that brings Sidney Crosby to the Oilers, and you're like, that doesn't look right.
I get OV too usually when I do that trade.
Yeah, you get both. But no, it's you know what you're getting out of Vinny Desharnais. I think we said that a lot last year as well. Just you know what you're going to get from a defensive-minded defenseman. He's a big defenseman who takes pride in being difficult to play against. And guys, when they see a big 6'6" dude out on the ice, 6'7", you sit there and go, I don't really want to go near that guy. So it's you know what you're going to get. I remember when he first signed that Vancouver deal, people were like, he's going to be on the top pairing with Hughes. He's going to be that Hughes guy, man.
Anyone who said that?
Yeah, a lot of people in Vancouver. But no, you know, he's a penalty killing type guy. I think he's a specialist in what he does. He's very good and is very responsible in his own end. Sometimes you sit there and go, oh, okay, that was a little aggressive, sure. But 7 out of 10 times when he goes and makes those aggressive plays along the boards, rubs a guy out, separates a guy from the puck, you're sitting there going, nice play, Vinny, nice play. So it's a give and take with Vinny as much as it is with Evan Bouchard on a totally different scale. It's a give and take with Vinny Desharnais as well. And I think Vancouver is starting to see what that give and take is.
This chat is killing me right now. Maynard, I'm not going to put on the screen what you said about Bouch, his driveway, and his dog, but you guys are killing me right now. You're starting rumors that people in the chat will then believe. Let's move now. We'll catch up with our pal Quads here, as I caught up with him earlier this afternoon to talk about the Canucks, everything that's gone on with their hot start. Kevin Lankinen has been incredible this year, and I do not understand it. Just like Archer Sheelov's in the playoffs. Why can they shit out good goaltenders and we can't do it? It's very frustrating. But the interview brought to you by Greta Bar Yeg. Greta Bar is where Oilers Nation loves to party, home or away. Great spot for pre and post game, especially on a Saturday night. We're going to be there all season for our watch parties. Check out the great street food menu, games in the arcade, weekly drink specials. So I caught up with Quads earlier today, co-host of Canucks Conversation, and listen to a little bit of this because we love Quads, we appreciate Quads, and Go Nation Network, go. All right, so we're Now joined by our good friend David Quadrelli, Quads, host of Canucks Conversation, but he is much, much, much more than that. He's a king writer here at Nation Network. He's the managing editor, and he's just a straight up good dude. How are we doing, Quads? Are you going to be in the building tonight for this matchup?
I was going to be in the building, but ultimately long story, but I decided not to go. So no, I'm not going to be in the building, but I was going to be tonight, but no, I am not going to tonight's game. And I'll tell you the reason, and it sounds bad. Start the hit off this way. There's a 6-game homestand, okay? You can't really get me off my couch on a Saturday night. I'm sorry. Like, traffic in downtown Vancouver is so awful. I'm not going to deal with it if I don't have to. And really, I don't have to. So 6-game homestand, I'm saving myself for the rest of the homestand.
You pick and choose your battles, and Saturday night on the couch, order in a little bit. I don't know. It seems like a good night ahead. I will be at the office tonight this evening, as you can tell people, this is pre-recorded, but the rivalry is going to be renewed tonight. Last season, I said I felt like was the first time in my adult life where the Oilers felt like we actually had a rivalry going with the Vancouver Canucks. And obviously the Canucks swept the Oil in the regular season series, 3 of which of those wins came before Jay Woodcroft was relieved of his duties. But this will be the first time the two rivals meet since that thrilling playoff series in the spring. It was a super tight series, which at one point had Archer Seelovs versus Calvin Pickard, the goaltending duo we all knew we were looking for in that one, where the Oil closed it out in 7 games. But this season, while very similar to the start of last year, as the Oilers are struggling to get out of the gates below 500, not 2-9-1 bad, but not great so far this year. On the other side of it, the Canucks, hot again out of the gate, 7-2-3 this season. I believe they've got 3 straight wins heading into tonight. But I wanted to ask you, what has been the key to their hot start? Because the thing is we know the roster, we know the players, but the Canucks are doing this without their Vezina caliber goaltender in one Thatcher Demko. So walk me through what's been the key to the hot start this season.
Well, they're doing it with their new Vezina caliber goaltender in Kevin Lankinen. Like honestly, Kevin Lankinen is my answer to your question, Aaron, because the Stars, go look at the point totals. Elias Pettersson's a big story for his lack of production so far. JT Miller's playing through some stuff. He's injured right now. We all know this. The Stars haven't got going, except for Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes has been even better than he was last year, which is kind of crazy to say, but he's surprised everybody with just how dominant he's been. So he's really the only player, the only skater that's really gotten their legs, and Connor Garland as well. But again, we're working our way down the lineup. This start has come in spite of how the Canucks have played in front of Kevin Lankinen. And honestly, Aaron, they've had soft matchups as well. You'll recall the New Jersey Devils absolutely spanked them. Then the Carolina Hurricanes did the exact same thing. They've played 2 real legit opponents this season, and they've lost both those games in somewhat embarrassing fashion. But the big thing was Kevin Lankinen was allowing them to get past a lot of their mistakes, and he was masking a lot of things that they were doing poorly. They've tried to institute some new rush offense this year. It's led to a lot of rush chances against, and Kevin Lankinen's played like Thatcher Demko, so it's been fine. But it wasn't fine against Carolina, wasn't fine against New Jersey. They almost lost to the Sharks. I know they're on this win streak, but they almost lost that game. It almost went to overtime. It shouldn't have been as close as it was. They really fixed everything 2 games ago against the Anaheim Ducks. They win that game by a score of 5-1. And then it was, okay, well, you just played the Ducks, so everybody looks good against the Ducks. Can you do it against the Kings, a much better team who also is off to a pretty good start this season? Can you do that? They look like they've fixed those issues. So tonight's going to be another good test for them to kind of, like a barometer for them to see how well they've actually fixed those issues. But really the answer is Kevin Lankinen and why they have points, because they haven't found their A game just yet.
You said he's making saves when you need it, and I selfishly sit here and go, man, that must be nice. His goaltending for the Oilers hasn't been great so far this season, but do we have an update on Thatcher Demko? Because I believe I think he's practicing on the ice right now. He's obviously dealing with that injury for a while. He's a huge part of this team's success. You mentioned he is a Vezina caliber goalie, but shout out Kevin Lankinen, as you mentioned, rock steady. I think he has a .923 save percentage this year, which is that's batshit. I'm just going to say that. I never saw that coming in my life. But do we have an update on Thatcher Demko and when he'll be back?
Yeah, so Demko's been on the ice and he's been practicing with teammates. Now, that being said, he got one practice in on the California road trip, but our pal Harmon Dial, he was on the road and he was watching that, and he said it's pretty generous to call that practicing. Like, he faced a couple shots and then left the ice, and then it was She Loves and Lankin. And so he's still got a ways to go, but our other pal, Frank Saravalli, reporting that he'll be back by the end of November. That tracks with what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing when I see Demko on the ice. The big thing, Aaron, is that he needs to pop into that reverse VH. He needs to be able to do his regular post integration. That's what screwed up his knee in game 1 against Nashville. That's where the injury, the popliteus injury that he sustained, that's where it happened, was popping into the RVH. So that's the big test. That's the big hurdle that's going to tell you, okay, he's ready for game action. So that's a bit away, ways away.
I read popliteus on the website today, and I went, I'm just going to say knee injury. So that's why we got Quads on the show today to pronounce that one perfectly. You mentioned Quinn Hughes. Now, I know you love him. I, as a former producer of Canucks Conversation last season, was it last year or the year before, you predicted Quinn Hughes to get 20 goals?
Last year.
And, brother, he was pretty close, as he was
damn close.
Winning defenseman. I was on my fantasy team. He was fantastic. And I drafted him because of what you told me to do. So shouts out to you, Quads. But you mentioned it. He's leading the team in points. I think he's got 14 in 12 games so far. He is averaging 52 minutes a night, which batshit might be the word of the interview here, because that's just crazy to me. That guy is a freak of nature. Won the Norris Trophy last season. And Quads, he looks like he's well on his way to another one this year.
Yeah, honestly, he does. Like, again, if I had to cast my Norris ballot right now, I would. And it's different because Kale McCarr's off to a slow start. Not from a point producing perspective, but like Kale McCarr's been on the ice for more goals against than like he was last time I looked, he had been on the ice for more goals against than just any player in the league. He plays a lot of minutes, but still that's not good for a defenseman, especially if you're trying to win the Norris. I don't know if that's changed, but I do know he's off to a bit of a slow start when it comes to the defensive side of his game. He had an off year last year. Can McCarr bounce back? Because if he bounces back defensively and his point totals are what they are, it's McCarr's trophy to lose. But right now, like if I had to cast my ballot right now, yeah, Quinn Hughes has been the best defenseman in the league right now. Again, there's a long season ahead of us, but he's been as good as advertised. He's been better even. It's quite shocking, really, what he's been able to do. I don't know if you saw the goal. I don't expect you to watch every Canucks goal, but against LA, he had a goal where he had no space, no room, and he basically just held the puck, and he was behind the blue line, but he held the puck over the blue line, and he just did a bunch of shimmy, and he looked like Steph Curry. Like, he was dangling back and forth and doing a bunch of head fakes. I was like, what is he doing? Like, this isn't going to work. And then he does one hard move to his right, gets the LA forward, who was forechecking there, or not forechecking, but you know what I mean, gets him to bite, and then pushes off to go to his left, fires a puck through traffic, and it goes in. And I was just like, what did I just watch? I just watched an NHL player shoot a deep three after dribbling to create space for himself. I'd never seen anything like it. He's on another level right now. We'll see how long he can sustain it, but yes, he's been phenomenal. And really, another story with the Canucks kind of segues perfectly is the non-Hughes minutes are alarming. Like, I think the expected goals for percentage is like 32% with everybody else on the ice, and then with Hughes it's like 72, which is the highest in the league by a pretty wide margin for guys that play as much as Hughes does. So again, he's been phenomenal, but the big concerning thing for the Canucks is what's happening when Hughes isn't on the ice. And the answer is like that Soucy Myers pairing. You'll remember that the Canucks hard matched the McDavid line with that pairing in the playoffs. And again, they're not going to create anything against McDavid, but that wasn't their job. Their job was to make sure McDavid wasn't creating anything. And when McDavid got off to a slow start, a lot of people were talking about JT Miller playing great in a matchup role, all that sort of stuff. And not taking anything away from Miller, but really like that Soucy Myers pairing was really good at just keeping everything low event. Like that was their job, and they did a really good job of it. Right now, everything's happening when they're on the ice except for offense for the team. It's not good right now. Soucy and Myers is a problem for this team. And really just every defenseman not named Quinn Hughes, and I guess Philip Rona because he plays with Quinn Hughes, but really just every defenseman not named Quinn Hughes is a bit of a problem for the Canucks right now.
You just mentioned two big-bodied defensemen struggling this season. Well, I want to talk about a different big-bodied defenseman on the Canucks that is struggling this season, Vincent Desharnais. We all know him. We all love him here in Edmonton. He signed a new deal with the Canucks this summer, which broke a lot of our hearts here. We no longer get to see the Skinny and Vinny hugs at the end of wins for the Edmonton Oilers, but he did not have an ideal start to the season for the Vancouver Canucks. It was rough. He was scratched at points. how is our boy Vinny doing? Because I'm reading, I think it's starting to turn around. And I don't know, like we saw last year, he worked with a good partner in one Brett Kulak, who is a very responsible and consistent defenseman. Has Vinny been able to find any consistency with a partner this season? And how's he done overall? Tell him I miss him.
Yes, absolutely I will. And yes, you brought it up. Brett Kulak. I'm a huge Brett Kulak fan, so I'm a little bit biased, but I think Brett Kulak's one of the most underrated defensemen in the league. And really, Desharnais' minutes with Kulak are so much better through his whole Oilers tenure, right? And the thing is, Kulak, a guy who can skate the puck out of the zone, he can pass the puck out of the zone, and you go back and watch that tape, like that's where Desharnais found most of his success, was when Kulak was able to just either wheel it out of the zone or make the first pass out of the zone. So he starts the season with Derek Forbert. That didn't look great. Now he's playing with Erik Brannstrom, who again, Brannstrom, I shouldn't have looped him in when I said every defenseman is a problem, because Erik Brannstrom has been found money for the Canucks. He's part of the Tucker Poolman cap dump trade with the Avalanche. The Canucks didn't really even want him that badly, I don't think. They put him on waivers. He could have been claimed by any other team, but he comes up. He's looked phenomenal. He's probably been their third best defenseman, actually, behind Hughes and Hronek. He's been that good. But he's stabilized Desharnais. Like, that's where Desharnais is starting to find some success, because now Desharnais is able to just play those third pair minutes. He's able to kill penalties, and he's looking good on the penalty kill. He has all season, but it's been masked because every time he touched the puck at 5-on-5, he was panicking and throwing it up the glass. But now it's like, rather than throwing it up the glass, Vinny's waiting, he's drawing in forecheckers, and then he's finding Brannstrom. And you go back and watch what he did with Kulak. And I'm talking to an Oilers audience. You all know what I'm talking about. He waits for Kulak, he draws in the forecheckers, and then he makes the first pass to Kulak. Kulak handles the rest. That's kind of what he's doing right now with Brannstrom, instead of just panicking, firing it up the glass, turnover at the blue line, and the puck's in the back of the Canucks net. That hasn't happened the past few games. Again, those games include games against the San Jose Sharks and the Anaheim Ducks. So take it with what you will, but Vinny looked really good in those games, and he looked better against LA as well. LA, obviously, a much better team than the two that I mentioned before that. So Vinny's starting to settle in. There's some hope. Vinny's starting to settle in. And look, Tanner Jeannot throws the dirty hit on Brock Besser. Brock Besser's going to be out for a bit with a concussion. Desharnais at morning skate today was already talking about the next time that the Canucks face the Kings. So people are looking forward to that one, I'm sure.
That's what I miss about Vinny, right? And he's good in spurts. He's good in situations. He was a dog on the PK last season for the Edmonton Oilers. And I don't think there's a coincidence that our PK is now not looking so good this season. Granted, there was a lot of turnover for the Edmonton Oilers. Another guy struggling. And this one is just fascinating for me. The fall off needs to be studied. And I'm sure you know who I'm talking about in one, Elias Pettersson. He's 10th in team scoring. I believe he's got 2 goals, 3 assists in 12 games. He signed a $92 million deal, which sees him get paid $11.6 million a season. But while the numbers are shockingly low, it seems like it's more than just the numbers. It's the eye test. He often looks weirdly disengaged. We saw it in the NHL playoffs last year. He looks tentative. He's given pucks away, looks soft at points. Hate to use that word, but I'm going to use it. Quads, what has happened to Elias Pettersson?
So, okay, this is an interesting one, because for Elias Pettersson, he signs the extension, right? And then the numbers right before that extension was signed, but then really right after, down the stretch of last season and through the playoffs. So that's the thing, that's the important context, is this isn't just a one season thing, or this isn't a 13 games or however many games the Canucks played. This isn't one of those things. It's a larger sample size, and I think that's the most surprising thing about it. He said at the end of the year that he was playing through knee tendonitis down the stretch, but I again, I'm not trying to take anything away from that, but I'm just starting to wonder about it now and say, like, okay, like what's actually going on here? Because knee tendonitis, you would think, and look, I've never had knee tendonitis. I've had it in my elbow, but knee tendonitis, it might be very difficult to play through. But we did also hear the reporting from Frank Saravelli that the Canucks were very shocked that Pettersson used that as an excuse. So let's put that aside. Let's skip over all that, and let's just talk about the player and what we're seeing from him on the ice right now. The answer is not much. You're not seeing much from Elias Pettersson. Now, what you are starting to see is a much better defensive game. Like, he's brought it in that area, and I think that's something that needs to actually be mentioned. He's starting to create chances. Like, here's one. He didn't get an assist on it, but Pia Suter's second goal at the end of the game against the San Jose Sharks. It turned out to be the game-winning goal in that game, the 3-2 goal. That was all created because Elias Pettersson was controlling the play. Like, he was controlling the zone. He was cycling the puck around, and he kept his feet moving and was going all around the offensive zone. He created that play. And that's the one that we called in Vancouver. We were calling it the shift, which is a name that we gave to like the first evidence of like Daniel and Henrik Sedin just being on another level than everybody else. So we call it the shift. But that's what we started calling it. Well, at least that's what I started calling it for Elias Pettersson, the shift. Like, that's a shift that can turn your season around. You start to play better. Okay, what does he do the next game against Anaheim? He's all right. He's fine. Anaheim's not a good team. What does he do the game after that? LA? Okay, you're without Brock Besser early on, you're not going to hard match that Miller line anymore. So then it became Elias Pettersson's responsibility to hard match the Anze Kopitar line. That was and again, obviously they were on the road. The Canucks don't control the matchups, but he played most of his minutes against Anze Kopitar. That line that's been so good for the Kings, they didn't create anything with Pettersson on the ice. He was really good in that game. Again, the points aren't there, but he's starting to show what I like to call the baseline for what a star player should be. So again, this isn't like no, everything's fine, look away, everything's fine. It's just that, okay, now you're finding your game. This is a step up. This is an improvement. The points aren't there yet, but he is improving. And right now he's playing at basically what I would say is the baseline of what you expect from a star player.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, it's a building block, right? Rome wasn't built in a day. You got to find your way to get back to your game. I want to shift here to another player on the team. We're a DeBrusk family out here in Edmonton. Obviously, we love Louis, and Jake signed a new deal with the Canucks this season. He has 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points in 12 games. Just quickly, tell me about what's he been like this season, and is he a guy who's starting to find his game here as you move along and you find chemistry with new teammates?
Yeah, absolutely. Jake DeBrusk got off to an interesting start. He scores 3 goals in the preseason. Looked like, oh, this is going to be a great signing. This is going to be a great fit. He kind of bounced up and down a bit. There was times earlier this season. I know it's still early, but there were times where he played on the third line. Like, he was getting third line minutes, and he was totally out of the top 6. And DeBrusk was struggling. It was starting to get frustrating for him, you could tell. But again, he's starting to find his game. 3 goals in his goals in each of his last 3 games, I should say. And now he's going into, a night where Brock Besser's not going to be in the lineup. They're going to be relying on some extra scoring. Can Jake DeBrusk, really come alive here? This is one thing that I find interesting is Rick Tocchet spoke today and was talking about how DeBrusk is working a lot with the Canucks video staff, and he's starting to anticipate plays better. And that's something that I think is really important, especially at the NHL level. Like, you're in a new system, you're in a new team. Let's not forget he only ever played with the Boston Bruins. He talked about it like it was like being a rookie again. Like, that was the quote that he had, was like, it was like being a rookie and trying to learn everything. Now it looks like he's just starting to settle in. The Jake DeBrusk we're seeing in the past 3-4 games is more like the one that I think we all thought the Canucks were getting when they signed him. So again, he'll be in the top 6 tonight. He's going to be on After Hours with his dad, Louis. It's looking like a big night for Jake DeBrusk, if you ask me.
Yeah, well, I hope not. But you mentioned you got to find your tendencies with your new teammates, and Jake's a good player. Now, we know the tendencies of several teams in the Pacific Division this year. It's looking like a little bit of a battle here, a race, but you know the teams that are going to be in it. It kind of looks like this year a 4-team race, 5-team race, if you want to include the Seattle Kraken. Canucks obviously won the division last year. Oilers were hot on their heels all season, but you bring in the Vegas Golden Knights this year. They're at the top of the division. They look good, and they just beat the Edmonton Oilers. The LA Kings 8-4-3. The Calgary Flames are still somehow above 500 and have not fallen apart yet. Every day I look at these standings, I get a little angry, but I want to ask you, who do you think right now has the best chance to be the Pacific Division winner after game 82 this season?
Statistically, it's the Vegas Golden Knights, and I'm not trying to pander. And look, The Canucks have a great chance too. I'm not trying to pander, but when I dig into the Edmonton Oilers struggles, and I know it's hard for Oilers fans right now, the special teams are going to figure themselves out, especially the power play. I don't know about the penalty kill. Penalty kill might suck all year. I'll just say that. It might. The goaltending, I don't necessarily believe in it, but if you look at it, like in terms of 5-on-5 play, they've gotten some good goaltending. They have gotten the goaltending to some extent. Again, I know Stuart Skinner hasn't made the big save. He's no Kevin Lankinen. But when I look at the Oilers struggle, like, look at goals for, tied with the Anaheim Ducks. I was just talking about the Anaheim Ducks and how crappy they are. We know that the Oilers are just better than the Ducks. And I think, again, that's a very base level way of looking at it, but I'm certainly not counting out the Oilers is, I guess, what I'm trying to say. I think there's massive improvements coming for the Oilers just in terms of just positive regression. Like, that's just going to happen for them just based on how the season started and when you dive into the numbers. So that's my take on it, is I think the Oilers are going to improve a lot down the stretch. Shocker, that's exactly what they did last year as well. But I say inside track right now, like Vegas, I wasn't sure if I was buying them at the start of the season, but I'm really buying them. Like, dude, they just got back William Karlsson. Like, that's a deep team. Like, that's a deep roster. And I thought it was going to hurt them to lose Jonathan Marchessault, but that guy sucks, apparently.
I hate saying it, but Vegas is the team right now that is putting the fear of God into me, because you mentioned it, their forward group is deep. Their decor, adding Noah Hannafin to their decor is just makes it an absolute wagon. My final one for you, Quads, and thank you so much for joining us today, is I just want to hang out with my boy Quads. As we remember, I used to produce Canucks Conversation. I got to spend every single day with Quads. We don't get to talk as much anymore, so this was selfishly an excuse to just talk to my buddy again. But my final question to you, give me a score prediction and an anytime goal scorer for the Vancouver Canucks, can be for the Oilers. Who do we like on Bet365 tonight?
Jake DeBrusk. Taking Jake DeBrusk for sure. He's on After Hours. He's on After Hours with his dad. Give me a Jake DeBrusk goal. Look, if I'll tell you this, if Oilers fans had to pick any Canuck to score tonight, aside from Vincent Desharnais, they would pick Jake DeBrusk, if you ask me. So I'm going with Jake DeBrusk.
And what's the score going to be?
5-3 Canucks.
I said 4-3 Edmonton Oilers, maybe a little overtime. The over is going to cash. This feels good again. Saturday night, hockey night in Canada. The rivalry's coming back. I'm jacked up. I'm fired up. And Quads, thank you for joining us. David Quadrelli from Canucks Conversation, co-host of, I guess. Shout out to Harmon as well. Quads, we appreciate you. We love you. Make sure to subscribe to the Canucks Army YouTube channel as well. And Quads, I'd say good luck out there tonight, but I wouldn't actually mean it. But good luck to you. I love you. I miss you. See you later, dude.
Thank you. Love you too.
There he was, our pal David Quadrelli from the Nation Network. We love him. Go check out Canucks Convo. Subscribe to their YouTube. And you can just go troll them. Go in their chat, but be nice. But you can troll as well if you want to. Also, you guys love to complain. Mackay and Dry, I missed our usual pre-gaming. That's a Nation Network team member right there. He's a huge writer and editor at this company. Also, Final Buzzer, this made me laugh. Pre-taped pre-game interviews will be my cold performer later tonight. All right, none of that. We're going to move along now. Let's talk our Wilhauk Beef Jerky Need to Know info. We'll throw this in right now. Brought to you by Wilhauk Beef Jerky. Only the finest tasting meat products earn that Wilhauk name. They gladly fill orders of any size. Find their jerky, sausage, other products exclusively out of their Leduc location. For more info, go to WilhaukBeefJerky.com. All right, so lines we do believe this evening for the Edmonton Oilers gonna stay the same regardless of the results we saw against Vegas. Jeff Skinner still on the top line with Connor McDavid and Zach Hyman. Podzilla with Dry and Arvidsson. And then Rico stays on the left wing. Nuge plays 3C with Connor Brown. Then it's Janmark, Ryan, Corey Perry. The decor, Ekholm, Bush, Darnell, and is it Stetcher this evening? Okay, it still is. Brett Kulak and one Ty Emberson. I mentioned Oilers PK. They're going to be in trouble tonight. Oilers power play is going to have trouble tonight because the Vancouver PK, they're very good. It was at 83, 84%, somewhere around there. Special teams going to need to improve. Stuart Skinner, he gets the start tonight. The last two games, Stu's been good, regardless of whatever you want to say in the chat or in After Dark. Yes, that one goal from Noah Hannafin, I would like back, but he had a 912, he had a 935 in his last game, and he has above a 900 in 4 of his last 5 games. Maybe we are finally turning the page. Maybe I will be here later tonight saying I was dead wrong. Canucks side of things, they come into tonight on a 3-game win streak. They swept their California roadie. They beat San Jose, Anaheim, and then the LA Kings, but they did that without one Brock Besser as Tanner Jeannot. Brad, that was a nasty hit. We said, I thought he might have hit him in the chest and then through his chin. Either way, Brock Besser, he's dealing with concussion right now. He's not going to be in the lineup this evening. And Brett, he can't score 4 goals against us if he's out of the lineup. I'm not celebrating injury.
No.
But I am a little bit happy about it.
No, obviously there's certain lineup notes that as an opposing team that you're excited is not in or are not in the lineup. Obviously, like you said, not cheering for any injuries or anything like that. But we also mentioned earlier in the show as well. You talk about him being out, Besser being out, Dakota Joshua also being out with obviously something way bigger than hockey, and with Thatcher Demko out as well. It's not the exact same team that the Edmonton Oilers face in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but yeah, it'll be nice to not have to worry about those two, one of the roughest, toughest guys in the NHL and one of the best pure scorers in the NHL. Yeah, we'll take those knocks when we can take them.
I'll take that, and I'll take that smile. And you mentioned the roster turnover for the Canucks as well. Similar to the Oilers, they lost Zadorov and Lindholm, both went and signed with the Bruins. They lost Ian Cole, he went to Utah. Casey DeSmith, he went to the Dallas Stars. Sam Lafferty, I think he went to the Sabres. Ilya Mikheyev went to the Blackhawks. He was a salary cap dump. So there's a few names right there. Then they added DeBrusk, Kiefer Sherwood, Danton Heinen over the summer, Vinny, Derek Forbort, who's not going to be playing, Eric Brandstrom, who Quads told us has been good so far this season. And then they also brought in Kevin Lankinen. So, yes?
I also beat the wheels off of Derek Forbort and Chell today. I just wanted to mention that.
Boy, no wonder he's out of lineup.
Brother.
There we go, Brett. You got to bring that energy today. I like that you were playing Chell today on a Saturday. Get in the mood.
3 fights, golden assist.
Okay, also throw in the chat right now. We know the stats. The Edmonton Oilers drop the gloves. They win hockey games. It's straight up. So let me know in the chat who's fighting tonight, Brett. We talked about it's not going to happen, but a Podzilla versus Vinny fight. Pods, I'd say go down. But hey, he did it against Jeremy Lazon, so he might find a way. Let me know in the chat who you think is going to be a fighter. And mentioning, I see people talking Zadorov in the chat. I am so stoked to not have to play that guy because he became, the greatest defenseman in the NHL for a 2-week stretch during that playoff series last year. I still don't get what happened, and he earned a big ticket because of it. Let's talk now about our starting goaltenders. Brought to you by Sherwood Power Sports Marine. Hit the trails this winter or the waves next summer. As fellow hockey fans, the team at Sherwood Power Sports Marine are helping Oilers Nation fans gear up. Home of an ATV for just $50 bi-weekly, or every time I read this, you can cruise the open water in a boat for as low as $105 bi-weekly. We gather a couple people around the office, brother, and I think we can afford a boat all summer. Sherwood Power Sports Marine. Hockey fans, helping hockey fans get ready for their next adventure with motorcycles, quads, e-bikes, and boats. So it's going to be Stuart Skinner versus Lankinen. You heard Quads talk about it there. The Lankinen stuff makes no sense to me, but you don't argue with it. He's got a 208 goals against average and a 923 save percentage. More impressive, he's 7-0-2 this season. He has not lost in regulation. I don't know what it is about Vancouver, Archer, Seelovs, Thatcher, Demko, Kevin Lankinen. Kevin Lankinen's never, I think, had above a 915 before. Now, hey, this is only, a 9-game stretch, but he's been solid so far this season, and then it's going to be Stuart Skinner for the Edmonton Oilers. Let me know in the chat, what performance are we getting from Stu tonight? Because as I have mentioned, there's his numbers, argued against one Calvin Pickard. You're either getting Vezina caliber Stuart Skinner or you're getting ECHL pull that guy at the first period. You'd like to think he knows this team. He knows the shooters. There are no secrets tonight, right? These guys through and through lineup. Yes, there are some new additions on both sides, but they're going to play the same structure. They are coached by the same coaches. You know what you get with one Rick Tocchet. Some people in the chat just checking in right now. They're saying we're getting a dialed in Stu. I like that confidence from Mark. And there's George, right? This is the problem. Skinner's letting in 6. I don't know what we're going to get. Who knows? We will find a way. Yes, fighting Amish. I meant to say he hasn't lost in regulation yet. So it can be a tough one tonight. I think the over tonight, Brett. I think you're going to see goals galore tonight. Do you think so?
I don't know. I want to say so. I was thinking about this on the way here. I want to say so, but just with the way Edmonton has really failed to convert on a lot of their chances lately, I don't think so. I think it might be. And for a guy who bet the over today, I do think that it might be a little bit quieter than we think.
Life's just too short to bet the under.
Thank you.
What am I doing here if I'm cheering for no goals? Let's finish it out here with Bet365 for Bordzy's bankroll. Proud partner, Bet365 is of Pregame with Bordsy. Open an account today. Bet on a huge range of markets. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today and use the code, all capitals, NATION. That spells nation. All right, let's pull it up here. My 3 bets that I like this evening, courtesy of our friends from Bet365. So your first one, I went with this in the last game, but it didn't happen. And while I'd say that top line of McDavid, Hyman, and Skinner, the word I used against Vegas, pedestrian. Not that they were bad, but they were not great. They were just kind of there, just kind of meh. I do like, you're going to give me plus 125 on anyone in the top line to get a point. Then I'm going to take that. So we like Skinner, plus 125. Your second option, Victor Arvidsson, over 2.5 shots on goal. That one is currently straight even money, plus 100. I don't have it in front of me right now, but he's only, I think, out of his last 5 games, missed this once. And you see the straight even, plus 100. I like that one tonight. And then finally, I was looking for a goal scorer. Me and Brett, we're talking it back and forth, and we go, don't overthink it. Pick the leading goal scorer for the Edmonton Oilers. He's scored a ton against the Vancouver Canucks in his career. And plus 145 is pretty juicy for Leon. As I said, he leads this team in goals, and he kind of looks like he's on a 50-goal pace yet again for this Edmonton Oilers squad. Vote in the YouTube poll right now and let me know. But Brett, which out of these 3 do you like the most?
I like Skin Daddy with 1+ point. I tossed in, I was mentioning to you during the Quadrelli interview that I have a 7 leg going right now. So included in that is not only a Skin Daddy point, but also over 2.5 shots as well. I think we talked about a lot how much he just likes to fire from every angle. I think he's
just got to hit the net.
Yeah, exactly. But I think this is a get right game for a lot of guys in Edmonton right now, and that also goes with Darnell. That also goes with the McDavid line as well. Just being able to be better, and I think this comes along with being able to fire shots, do whatever you can. I think Skin Daddy point and Skin Daddy over 2.5 shots. I think we might be in good company here.
I like this from Final Buzzer. Says, ahem. There's only one true Skin Daddy.